Hello everyone, I hope that I'm live right now. If there's some problem with my voice or anything, just please guys do let me know. Good evening everyone. Yeah, I hope I'm live and my volume is like my voice is very clear to you all. I again good evening everyone. So we'll be starting with loops and iterations and many other things today. We will also be like live coding many of the different questions. The initial questions are very easy. So I was not able to find any proper computer programming platform where we could easily practice all these questions live. So that's why I have framed the problems in such a way that you can easily understand the questions, and these are very easy. Okay, it is not very hard, like very easy questions that we'll be dealing with today, and we'll be coding it live on IDE 1. So it's an online IDE by Spoj. Spoj is also a very good platform for, no, it's not a good platform, but there's a Spoj list that is very good if you are trying to learn data structures and algorithm. Please I do not recommend you to go and code on the Spoj platform itself, but the question list of Spoj I will share it at the, we usually share it with our paid students. So the Spoj list is also very good if you want to get started, but of course I recommend lead code for getting started in computer programming. So today we will be doing loops. We'll be doing decision making, that is if, else if, and all nested if else and all those kinds of stuff. We'll also be looking at breaks and continuous statements. We will be coding one question from each of the topic. We'll try to analyze, try to understand all these topic individually. So this is the basic foundation upon which the rest of the 13 days is going to be built up. Okay, so from tomorrow we are going to start with arrays, and then we'll be going into coding on lead code. So you need to understand that today's lesson is very important if you want to get a heads up for the next 13 days. Okay. Okay, I will go a little bit slow, but today I have to cover a lot. But still, I will try to maintain my pace. Vinash, Raj, if there's a problem with my pace and you are not able to grab something or you have missed something, you can just slide the red slider back and you can listen to it again. Okay, so that's the benefit of teaching live on YouTube, that the videos are available for a longer period of time. Your data gets conserved, as well as the videos, if you are stuck somewhere, you're not able to understand something, you can just replay it a little bit back. I suggest you all to take notes. If you're not taking notes, it will be it will be of a very big problem to you later on. Okay. This, see, if you're counting by day wise, then it will be day 3, but then we will be having 16 days in total. The first day was not counted, it was just an introductory session. Okay. Manas Pandey, Lead Code is the platform that I suggest. At ShapeAI, we are currently developing our own coding platform, that is competitive coding platform, which will have more than 2000 questions sorted company wise according to like which company is asking which questions. We'll also be catering it mostly to the Indian students. Like in the internships, these questions are very much common for Microsoft. In the placements, these questions are very common for Google. So according to that, ShapeAI is currently developing a competitive programming platform which will have video solutions and everything available over there. It will it will also have data structures and algorithms so that you can learn all those kinds of stuff. But yes, it's a work in progress. Almost 60% of the work has been done. We are currently in the front end web development stage. So we will have a lot of features in that so that you are easily able to learn everything that you need to know. So let's see how that goes. Let's hope for the best. So we are taking up best features from LeetCode, from Spoj, and from many other coding platforms like CodeChef, so that you have just one platform for everything that you want to do. So let's see how that goes. Okay. So yeah, I'm just waiting for 5 minutes. We'll be starting in 5 minutes because I feel like more people are going to join. So let's start in 5 minutes. Okay. Till then, I will just set these things up. So Naman Jain has written start the real DSA. Naman, there are many people who have come up for this live session, and they are complete beginners. They don't know anything about either C++ or even programming. So we have to cater to them as well. So of course, like I've already said that we will be doing DSA, we'll be doing computer programming and everything. But we have to take up the interests of each and every student and then get started. I hope you understand. And as I've already said, we will be starting in 5 minutes, and then we'll get started. Jagan, the video has been made in such a way that I cannot reduce the size right now. Also, that you don't have to worry, it will not be covering any content of the screen while I'm teaching. I will make sure of that. So in this particular boot camp of this 15 days, we have started with C++, like the basics that you need to get started in C++. We'll be covering major STLs, for example, like vectors and all those kind of stuff. We'll be looking at data structures and algorithms. We'll be dealing with, I guess we'll be starting with arrays. We'll be going till like bit counting and recursion, dynamic programming, and the basic DSA, that is like a linear DSA. We will be looking at that. Okay. Arjun Singh Rajput, for GATE, it's mostly oriented towards theoretical knowledge. Of course, like the DSA knowledge is very essential for you as well, but in GATE, mostly they ask C and not C++. So for GATE, you will have to study other things. Yes, Divyansh, STL is a particular library that contains many different things that you will be using on a day-to-day basis in like while doing computer programming. So yes, we'll be covering many different libraries as well. Ayush has asked, can I join Amazon? See, Ayush, like I've already explained, if you're working hard, if you are completing all the assignments and everything, you are having some good projects in your under your belt, your data structures and algorithms, especially graphs, is very strong, then yes, you can get into Amazon by applying through various platforms. I don't know about this company Seabreeze, but yeah. Siddharth Tripathi, we are not going to get into graphs and trees. Like I've already said, we will be like covering linear data structures in these 15 days. It is just impossible to teach the entire data structures and algorithms in 15 days. I like it takes almost 4 months to learn the entire data. Almost sorry, it takes minimum 4 months to learn data structures and algorithms complete. So you need to understand that. So why do we have floating point numbers? See, you need to understand that in most of the cases you don't want your processor to use that much amount of space. So when you are storing into like double float numbers, it is going up till 14 to 15 decimal points. Now that is taking up a lot of space in the memory. Sometimes it is just illogical to waste so much amount of space in your memory. That's why for to conserve your memory, you usually use floating point numbers, and only in some special cases where you require that precision, you are going to double. Okay. For tomorrow, yesterday's attendance confirmation, it was not made available for everyone. For today's confirmation, like today, you will get the email confirmation as well. For applying to different companies, Google is a good platform to search for. Then there is every company has their own career portal as well, and then there is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best platform to apply to different companies. Ashish Verma, we cover data structures and algorithm in a 4 month long course that we have. It's basically a training and an internship. We first train you and then provide you with an internship. And that we cover like every day we have 1 hour for data structures and algorithm and 1.5 hour for development purposes. So there we teach all the concepts and everything related to data structures and algorithms and computer programming. So, yeah, let's start right now. I hope that you are ready. I'll just tell my colleague to like make the attendance link for today. Okay. Okay. So I hope that you are able to just wait for a second. Parag, just make the attendance link for today and make sure that put it up on the email. Okay. ShapeAI. And and make sure that it has the feature so that the people are getting the response on their own email. Okay, so just send it back again on shapeai.tech. So email. Okay. uh, okay, just send it again. Okay. The attendance link has been made. I've just confirmed that I will be sharing. So for today, when I will be sharing the attendance link, I'll be showing it on the screen just for 1 minute. Okay, make sure that you are taking the screenshot for that and then putting up your attendance. I repeat, I will not show it for more than 1 minute on the screen, and I will do it in between the entire like I can do it anywhere in between where I'm teaching. I can just open it up and then show you guys out. Okay, so that's something that you need to know. Yesterday we did it at the end, and most people got it just by looking at the end. So, yeah, today I will be doing it anywhere in the middle. It will be only on the screen for 1 minute. You have to make sure that you are taking the screenshot. Of course, if you're missing it out, you can just replay it back and, of course, pause it and see it. So, that's the benefit of YouTube. So, I don't have to show you for more than 1 minute. I just want to remind you of that. So, let's continue right now. Yeah. So loops in C++. Now this is a very important topic and I want you guys to focus. Also, please take down notes if you don't know it. So yeah. So why do we need loops? Okay, like for example, you are doing a particular work repeatedly over and over every single day. So you know that at 8 o'clock you have to come up for this particular boot camp. So you can program yourself. So either you can do one thing that every single day you are waking up. Okay, for example, you are a machine. Okay, and every single day you are waking up and then programming your entire duration of the day, that every day at 8, so you will wake up and then you will go on like, okay, today I have to like attend my boot camp at 8. Okay, so every single day you are writing this statement, and today I have to write attend this boot camp at 8. So this is one of the things that you can do, but this is tedious. It will take up your time. Every single day you will be wasting 1 minute just to write down this thing in your memory. Okay, so the second thing that you can do it, you can create a loop that for every single day you have to attend the boot camp at 8 p.m. live. So that is something that you are programming a loop on the first day, and then you are not writing that particular sentence every single day. It is getting called every single day on itself. So that is why loops exist. Let's look at from a programming perspective. Okay, so print hello world 10 times in C++. So this will illustrate the need for loops. So let's see that. Okay, so for example, this is my code editor. I hope you are able to see it. I don't know. Yeah, I've increased the size right now. I hope you are able to see my code clearly. Okay. Okay, so this is a problem. Okay, so for example, if you want to like print hello world 10 times, so what you will do? You would need to understand that. So you will be writing C out less than hello world. And if I want to put the next like I want to put the cursor in the next line, so that when I'm printing hello world again, the new hello world is getting printed in the next line. So what can I do is I can write a backslash n at the end. So this tells C++ that after printing hello world, take the cursor to the next line. Okay, and then when I'm printing the other word, print it in this line. So this is how I will write this, and then I will just print it out. So I want to do this 10 times. So I will have to copy this entire line. Okay, I don't know what is happening. Yeah. So I will have to copy this entire line. So this is the first time I'm coding in a tablet. So pardon me for um, my so because this is very hard to program in a particular tablet. So yeah, so I will just print it out like I will just take everything in control C, and then I will just print it out 10 times. So how many times I printed it? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 8 9. What happened? Okay, this this is very tedious. I hope you are able to see my screen at least. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So today I realize how difficult it is to code. It is so difficult to code on my tablet, but like just wait for a second. Okay, just let's make it like how many times I've done it right now. So for example, if I want to print hello world again and again, then I have to just write this everything down again and again, the number of times I want it to run. Okay, for example, if I wanted to run like more than this many number of times, I will just have to write it again and then just come back here, and then I will just run it out. So you will be able to see that I have printed hello world some many number of times, as you are able to see in the output. So if I want to print hello world again and again, I have to write cout hello world again and again, and this is just taking up a lot of time. So for this we have our just wait a second, that just so as you are able to see that this takes up a lot of time. Okay, so to make things easier for us, we have for loops. So for what does a for loop have? So a for loop has three like major portions. The first one is the for statement itself. So the for statement itself has initialization expression, test expression, and update expression. So what does these three statements mean? So initialization expression is the expression by which you are trying to initialize the loop counter. So there is a particular counter, counter counter. So for example, you want to print hello world 10 times. So you will initialize this counter. Let's take the counter variable as I as first one. Okay, the counter variable is 1. Then you want to print hello world 10 times. So the counter has to go from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So at the 10th expression, when the counter becomes 10, you want to stop executing the loop. Okay, so you will have the text expression as if I is less than or equal to 10, then and only then execute the body of the loop. If the value of the count is less than or equal to 10, then and only then execute the body of the loop. Otherwise, just like stop the execution of the body and just come out and execute the next lines of code. So and the update expression. So you have initialized I as 1. You have told the for loop that it should go up till 10, but you need to make sure that I is going up till 10, that I is increasing every in the loop. So for that you can write right here I is equals to I plus 1. Okay, so in every loop, after the execution of every loop, I will be incremented. So 1 will be added to I. Okay, so you can also write this statement I is equals to I plus 1 as I plus plus. So this is the, like, you can write it in a similar way. Okay, so this is equivalent to this. Okay, there's no difference in both the statements. I is equals to I plus 1 can also be written as I plus plus. Okay, so we have learned about the initialization expression. We have also learned about the test expression, the update expression, then the body of the loop. So whenever the test expression proves out to be correct, that your test expression is 100% right, at that point of time you will be executing the entire body of the loop. Okay, otherwise if the text expression is false, then you will come out of the loop and then start executing the rest of the loop itself. So try to understand this. This is what for loops means. I hope you are able to understand this. Now we will be like returning back to the previous question, that print hello world 10 times using C++ for loop. So we will be doing that. This time I will just use my laptop itself. Okay, just disconnect it from here. Yeah, I will just go on. So I hope you are able to see my screen clearly as well as the code. Okay, so here we will be writing our code using for loop to print hello world 10 times. So first we will be declaring our initialization, that is int I, the variable. So this is our counter. So we have declared our counter. Then we are going to write our for loop. So again, you have to start by writing for loop and then parenthesis. In the parenthesis, you have to start by writing the initialization of the, you have declared. Okay, so you have declared the variable right over here. Now you need to initialize it. So the initialization is I is equals to 1. So initially the value of I is 1. You want to write the test expression. So the test expression is written after this semicolon. First you have to write this semicolon, and then you have to write the test expression, that is I is less than or equal to 10. Then and only then execute the body of the code. Then you can again, you have to put a semicolon and then write the like incrementation that you have to do, that is I plus plus, how you are going to change the counter I. So then in curly brackets, okay, you have to write the entire, like whatever you want to print. So for example, we are writing C out less than and then hello world. You are writing a backslash n so that every time when the loop executes, the hello world is getting printed in the new line. I hope you understand that. So when I'm going and placing it on run, you will be able to see that it's running. Okay, why is not running? Okay, so it will be running and it will be printing out hello world 10 times. Now, as you are able to see the output, hello world 10 times and the output. So, one more thing that you need to know, that you can declare as well as initialize the counter variable inside the for loop itself. So, for example, here I can just write int I is equals to 1. So, I've declared as well as initialized my counter variable I in the for loop itself. So this integer I, okay, will be created in for this entire loop itself. Okay, so you can use I only and only inside this for loop. So if I'm like calling it out like C out less than I, so this will give me an error. This is called as the scope of a variable. When you're declaring a particular variable inside the for loop, anywhere inside the for loop, that variable takes birth and lives inside that particular duration of the for loop itself. You can use the variable inside that for loop itself and not outside that for loop. If you're trying to use it outside the for loop, C++ will give you an error. Let's see that right now. Like, you want to see that again, so you will be able to see that in function int main I was not declared in this scope. So in the scope of main I was not declared. That's why we cannot do C out I right over here. So variable scope is also something important. And for the next 15 days, you need to understand that when you are using a particular if else statement and having a particular variable declared inside a particular block of code, then that variable lives and dies within the execution of that particular block of code itself. For easier understanding, only in this 15 days you need to know this much. If we are going to teach you oops as well, if like we get time, then of course I will be like going into variable scope in a lot more depth. Okay, but for the 15 days to understand everything, this is the most that you need to know right now. So moving forward with the next thing. Okay, just like I will just remove the tablet right now. What view? Okay, so moving forward with the next topic, that will be, so we have learned how to print hello world 10 times in C++ using the for loop. So now let's go on to learning the next type of loop, also called as while loop. So sometimes you usually say that, okay, there is a, it's similar to like while loop and for loop are very similar in nature. Both of them have similar, like both of them are used very similarly most of the time. Okay, so here only the pattern on how you are writing the particular like thing just changes. So again, you have your initialization expression, you have your text expression, you have the block of code that you want to execute every time in that particular loop, and then you have the update expression. So for example, you have initialized I is equals to 0, int I is equals to 0, while I is less than or equal to 10, you write hello world and then you are I plus plus. So the same for loop can be written as a while loop like this. So let's try to understand how does a while loop work actually. So while loop again, like as the initialization expression. So what does while loop tell? While that text expression is true, while I is less than or equal to 10, execute the block of code, otherwise don't execute the block of code. Okay, this is how while loop works. Now sometimes you may want the while loop to go on forever. Okay, so just ignore the text expression, don't write the update expression, and then the while loop would go on forever. For example, if I is equals to 0, while test expression, that is I is less than 0, print print hello world C++ or something like that. So you will get to know that I is less than 0 gets like I is equals to 0 is always true for the test case I is less than equal to 10. So hello world will get printed for like up till and unless the memory constraints run out or time constraints run out for that particular compiler. So that is something that you need to understand. While loop are exactly similar to like for loops. There is no difference between them. They are both used in similar cases. Okay, so this is something that you need to understand for while loop. Okay, so let's move on from here to like implementing the same like expression back again. So yeah, let's move forward from here. Just wait for a second. I'll just disconnect. Okay, so let's try to convert this entire line of like block of code to while loop. So again, you have the initialization parameter. Let's just cut it out and paste it in the front. We are initializing our counter variable. Then you have the while loop. So we'll replace the for with while. You have the test condition inside the parenthesis. We will just take out the entire like update. Okay, sorry. We will just take out the entire update from here, and then after printing the session out, we'll write our update statement right over here. Okay, so we have converted our for loop into while loop. So we have initialized our counter, we have checked, we have the test condition inside the parenthesis, and then we have the block of code that we want to execute, and after that we have the update statement that to update the counter. So if I'm like running it back again, you will be able to see like it is compiling, running. You'll be able to see that I printed hello world 10 times using while loop. So if I'm removing this particular line of code. Okay, so if I'm like idioning it once again, you will be able to see that it runs into an error. Okay, it's called as a runtime error. It has printed out hello world for many times. Okay, so this is an infinite loop because now I is always 1 and I is always less than 10. So this block of code will always get executed. So this is an infinite loop. So moving forward from here, let's see the next type of loop that is present, also called as do while loop. Now in both the cases, in both the loops that you have currently seen, you have seen that both of them were entry control loops, that first a condition was getting checked. In both the cases, this is just a nightmare. Just wait for a second, I'll just rub everything off. Yeah. So in both the conditions, both the for loops and the while loop, the text expression is getting evaluated first, and if and only if the counter passes this test expression, then and only then the body of the loop is getting executed. Similar to while loop as well, the test expression, if it evaluates to be false, then the body of the loop is getting skipped and the next lines of the things are getting executed. Okay, so this is something that is called as an entry controlled loop, that it is just like a pub. Okay, if you have visited a pub, there's a bouncer outside the pub who is checking if you are eligible to go into that nightclub or not. If you are not, he is just removing you off from the queue, and by checking your ID, if you are like older than 21 or 18, I don't know. So depending upon that, he will just be removing you from the queue, or he will be letting you go inside the pub or the bar. So that is where like do while loop comes in. So in do while loop is similar to like how an examination is done in your college. So in your college you will have a particular exam, you will go and sit for the exam. Okay, you have started writing the exam itself. Now in between an invigilator will come, he will ask for your ID. Okay, so you have sat for a particular like exam, you are giving your exam. So my drawing is a little bit terrible, just pardon me for that. An invigilator will come. Okay, and like the mustache, and vigilator will come and ask you for your ID. You will provide him with your ID. If the ID is false, okay, if the ID is not valid, the invigilator will ask you out to get out of the room. Okay, so the invigilator will ask you to get out of the room. So but you had like you had entered into the room, you had started writing the paper itself. At the end, after 10 or 15 minutes, when you were caught, you were removed from the loop. So this is called as an exit control loop, that at the end, okay, towards the end, you are checking if the condition is true or false, and then if the condition is true, then you are allowed to continue writing your exam. If the condition is false, you are just told to leave the room or call your parents or something like that. So that is where do while loop comes in. So you have again the initialization expression. You are telling Python, sorry, you are telling C++ to do a particular block of code. You're then telling it to update the particular like counter, and then you are checking if the counter is valid or not. So anyway, in any case, you will be executing this block of code once. Okay, even if for example I've initialized the I as 15, okay, and I've set the text expression as I is less than equal to 10, and I'm updating the expression as I plus plus. Even though I is equal to 15, that is greater than 10, it will still execute the block of code at least once. Then it will go and check that it was false and will no longer like execute the block of code. So you will get hello world printed out on your screen once. Okay, even though the condition was false, it was hello world was printed once. So this is something that you need to understand. Now let's do one thing. Let's just like try to code it, like try to convert our current code into a do while loop right now. Okay, so yeah. Is there some problem? Okay, so the attendance link will be shown anywhere between like when we are doing. Okay, the will be showing the any. It will be anywhere within the entire session, and I will show it for just 1 minute. You have to take the screenshot or just rewind and look at the link again. So that's the thing. So continuing from here, I don't know, Neeraj Verma, we do not offer any graphics programs. I hope you like my PPT and puts in some work in making that. So I will take that as a compliment. Thank you. Moving forward, let's like do this. Okay, so let's convert this particular while loop into a particular like what we want. So I'm just taking the keyboard. Okay, so first we have initialized our counter variable. Then we will write here do instead of while loop. We will write control X do. Okay, then we will write the block of code that we want, count hello world blah blah blah, and then we will update the particular counter. So we'll update the counter by writing I plus plus. Of course, you can write I is equals to I plus 1. You can write I plus is equals to 1. You can write I plus plus. So all the three line statements that I've written, okay, they are absolutely same in nature. I is equals to I plus 1 is equal to I plus is equals to 1 is equal to I plus plus. So all the three are same. Usually I prefer to write I plus plus when I just want to increment it by 1. Okay, just like it's concise in nature and very easily understandable within the programming community itself. So I've initialized my counter variable. I've written the do statement. I've written the block of code cout hello world. I've updated my I plus plus. At the end I will write my while condition, while I is less than equal to 10, and then I have to write a semicolon. Okay, at the end don't forget to write the semicolon. What most people do is they forgot to write to the semicolon, and then like directly message me that so the code is not working, you were wrong, and I'm like, just like look at my code once. So semicolon is very important, guys. Don't forget to write the semicolon. So let's now run our particular line of code. Now you will see that this particular statement gets executed, I guess, 11 times. Okay, we will count it. Okay, let's just start with 2. Okay, we'll just like put it 2. So let's see. According to us, it should have the for loop and the while loop would have executed just 2 times. Let's see how many times do while loop gets executed. So we have run the particular line of code. I'm just going to go to the top again. So you will be able to see that it has executed 2 times similarly. Now, if I'm changing this particular line of code to 3, okay, 3 is in fact inherently greater than 2. Okay, so even though it is greater than 2, if I am running the particular line of code, you will be able to see that the code is running once. Okay, so this is the benefit. You can like sometimes it's a benefit, like sometimes you want to do a particular work at least once, okay, and not again and again. So there you will be using this do while loop, that even though the condition is false, it has executed 1 time, while if the condition is true, it will work exactly similar to how many times for loop and while loop gets executed. Okay, so yeah, move. So this was everything that you need to know as of right now for this 15 days boot camp in the case of loops. Okay, so now we will be going into conditional statements in C++. Now yeah, let's connect the tablet once again. Okay, so we will now be starting with conditional statements in C++. Okay, so the first condition. So sometimes, like in life, okay, in life as well, sometimes you have choices that you have to make. That okay, I have spent the entire if up on a particular day I have studied for more than 4 hours, then I will watch a particular movie. If I've studied for less than 4 hours, then I will study for at least 1 or 2 hours more. So this is like how if else statement also works. So for example, you want to get into a fight. Okay, so for all the Marvel fans over there, so if you want to get into a fight and you are, for example, Hawkeye. Okay, so first you will be looking at the person standing in front of you. If that person is having any superpower, then you will not be fighting him. So you will be checking a condition that if that particular person has any particular superpower, for example Hulk, or for example Captain America also can beat Hawkeye, anyone. Okay, so if he or she has a particular superpower, then Hawkeye will not engage with him, will not fight. Okay, Else, if that particular person is Natasha Romanoff, okay, she doesn't has any power. So in that particular case, Hawkeye can easily beat her as he was the one who trained her in the first place. So he will get into a fight with her. So this is something that you need to understand. This is how if else if statements work. So these are called as conditional statements, that if a particular condition is proven to be true, run this particular block of code. If that particular statement is proven to be false, then run particular another block of code. Okay, so let's look at the most simplest if statement. Okay, conditional statement, that is called as the if statement. So if statement has a particular condition. For example, you had the test condition, test expression in the for loops and the while loops and the do while loops. Similar to that, you have a condition statement in if as well. If this condition statement proves to be true, okay, then and only then you will be executing this particular block of code. If that particular statement proven to be false, then you will skip the block of code and then you will start continuing to execute your other lines of code. So this is how an if statement works. So you write if, you have parenthesis, inside the parenthesis you write the condition that you need to check. For example, you want to print like if a particular number is 5, in that particular case you want to print that the number is 5. So this is the block of code you are having. Okay, I will just rub everything again. Okay, so for example, if condition. So for the condition, you have like I is equals to 5. Yesterday we have dealt with this particular like operation. Okay, if you have not forgotten about it, we looked at arithmetic operation, logical operation, and all those kind of stuff. So equal to checks if the LHS, that is the thing on the left hand side, is equal to RHS, that is on the right hand side, or not. If it is equal, it returns true. If it is not equal, it returns false. So if we have having int I is equals to 10, we have declared a particular number as 10, int I is equals to 10. So it will come to this condition, it will check if 10 is equals to 5, it will return false to f. So false is getting returned to f. So if will not execute any of the lines block of code, we'll just go out of the if statement and then start executing from here. So the second scenario would be if that particular case is true. For example, the int is actually 5. So the if statement will check if 5 is equals to 5. It is true. So it will return true to the if statement, and then the if statement will execute this particular block of code and will print out that the number is 5. So this is how the if statements work. Very simple. I hope you are able to understand this. We will now look at a particular small code just to like make sure that we will just write the same code again. That what I've just said, I will just write it down again. So I've already declared int I is equals to 3. Okay, we'll just convert this into if statement. So if, and then we have the parenthesis. Don't forget to write the parenthesis, guys. This is not Python. So inside the parenthesis, you will write the particular statement. If I is equals to 5, then C out, and then you will be like putting up the number is 5. Okay, and then you will just come out from here. There is nothing else inside it, and yeah, that's the entire if statement. Very simple, nothing to do. You have your particular condition that you want to check, okay, and then you print out if the number is 5 or not. And then as you can see, I will just like run this particular line of code. You will be able to see that the output would be okay, I didn't got any output. Okay, I've written 5. Okay, so I will just write 3 down here, and then I will just run it that particular line of code again. So you'll be able to see that the number is 5. Okay, the number is so there's a little bit problem. I took out the example and just run it again. Okay, so you will be able to see that the number is 3. So this is how a particular like if statement works. Of course, you can also check if that particular number is not equal to 3. If I is not equal to 3, then you have to print number is not 3. So for example, if I'm changing this number to 5, okay, so you will be able to see that it will print that the number is not 3. So as you are able to see in the output right now, the number is not 3. So this is how an if statement works. We'll be looking at if nested if else if. There are so many combination that we can do. So instead of going back to the PPT, so let me ask you right over here itself. So yeah, do you want me to like write it right now or not? Like, do you want me to show you via the PPT itself, or do you want me to directly code it in front of you? No, we have not yet taken the attendance. Please do not ask me about attendance again and again. Inside the video, at any point of time, I will be just showing you the link and you have to do your attendance on your own. Okay, I have done this particular thing just to ensure that people are just not coming here just for the certificate. Okay, so yeah, Akrish. Akrish was the same person who was just writing some shitty things on the first day, and today he wants the like attendance. Okay, so do code it directly. Okay, so because this is very easy, there is nothing very difficult about it. That's why we will be directly coding it right now. So, for example, we have done the if statement. Now we'll be going to if else. So, for sometimes you will have one, for example, in this particular scenario, if like I is equal to 3, okay, if the number is equal to 3, you want to print out that the number is 3. Okay, you want to print that the number is 3, and you want to do one more thing after this. You also want to check if the number is not equal to 3, then you want to print that the number is not 3. So for that, one thing that you can do is you can just write if I is not equal to 3, in that particular case C out less than the number is not 3. So this is totally valid. Okay, there's no problem with this, but here you have to write if two times, and this is not something that you want to do. This is not an ideal scenario that you want to create. So for this, what you can do is you can replace this by else. Okay, so what is else? So if this condition I is equals to 3 proves to be false, okay, then the if statement will return, like it will return false to if will go to the else part and then execute this particular block of code. In the case if I is equals to tree returns true, then the if will directly like run this particular block of code and will ignore the else block completely and then start executing from this particular line of code. So this is how if else work. Okay, so if this particular condition is true, then run this particular block of code. If that particular condition is false, then go to the else block of code and run that. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand from this. uh, so do you still want to me to show you the PPT, or you have understood else from that particular example itself? If you want to show like if you want to see the PPT, I can do that as well. There's no problem with that. See, again, I will like to remind that many people out here are beginners in programming. They come from a background that have no idea about programming in general. So I'm trying to take everyone in, and I'm trying to like take everyone up and going to the examples. So the examples are of such low level from the starting point. You do not know arrays, you do not know vectors right now. So in that particular case, there are not a lot of questions that I can show as an example. This is not AI. So you can see our courses like previous boot camps on AI as well. So yeah. Okay, so let's move on from here. Um, Okay, so let's move on from here. I hope that you have understand this. Now, sometimes you may want to check multiple different conditions. So, for example, if I is equals to 3, then you want to print the number as 3. If I is equals to 5, you want to print the number as 5. If I is equal to 15, you want to print the number as 15. And if the I is not from these three numbers, then you want to print that the number is not included in my list or something like that. Or you can take up another example. For example, if you want to print if a number is in between, okay, 1 and 2 or 1 and 5, then print that the number is in between 1 and 5. If the number is in between 5 and 10, then you want to print that the number is between 5 and 10. And in any other case, you want to print that the number is greater than 10. Okay, so you have two conditions that you want to check. If the number is in between 1 and 5, if the number is in between 5 and 10, and in the last case, you want to check that if the number is greater than 10. So how we will like do this particular thing using if else statement. So for that first condition, it was like you want to check if the number is in between 1 and 5. So you'll write if the number is I is greater than equal to 1, okay, and I is less than equal to 5. Okay, then you have to see out the number is like in between BDW 1 and 5. Okay, so this is something that you will be doing. Else, okay, so you have the else, so we will be writing, you are also writing it as else if. Okay, so we will be writing according to that. So else, just wait for a second. Yeah, so else if you will be having else if I is greater than equal to 5 and I is less than equal to 10, okay, less than equal to 10, in that particular case you will want to print that see out the number is in number is in between 5 and 10. Okay, and after that in any other case you will want to print else. Okay, so because there is no other case that you want to check if the number you are I'm only talking about positive numbers, okay, positive natural numbers. So in that particular case we are not considering 0 or the negative numbers, so any other number would always be greater than 10. So you can directly write an else statement and see out less than the number is greater than 10. Okay, so this is how you will be ending it. So here what you have done, you have to first check the first condition. If I is greater than equal to 1 and I is less than equal to 15. So first we'll be taking in our first number. For example, the number was 4. Okay, let's take an example. The number was 4. So is 4 greater than equal to 1? Yes, that's true. Is 4 less than equal to 5? Yes, that's also true. So if you have true on the left hand side and true on the right hand side, so and will return true. Okay, so this will return true to the if statement, and you will get the number is in between 1 and 5 getting printed out. Once this particular block of code has been printed out, we'll move on. It will ignore all the else if and else block of code and then directly come to return 0 and run this particular line of code. If I'm running this particular line of code right now, you will be able to see that we are getting an output that the number is in between 1 and 5. Let's take up another example. Let's take up 7 right now. Okay, we take up 7 right now. So again, we've come to the first condition. If I is greater than equal to 1, yes, 7 is greater than equal to 1, so this is true. Okay, if I is less than equal to 5, no, 7 is greater than 5. That's why this is false. Okay, so we have true on the left hand side and false on the right hand side of and statement, so that will return a false to the if statement. So if will then come to the next else if portion. Okay, so it will then check this particular condition. So is I greater than equal to 5? Yes, 7 is greater than equal to 5. Is I less than equal to 10? Yes, 7 is less than equal to 10. So you have true on the left hand side and true on the right hand side of the and statement, and hence this will return true to the else if part. So this will then execute this particular block of code, that is the number is in between 5 and 10. It will ignore this particular block of else code and then directly continue running with return 0. Okay, so when I am running this particular block of line of code, you will be able to see that the number is in between 5 and 10, as you are able to see that the number is in between 5 and 10. Okay, so yeah, right now I'll be showing you the attendance link. I hope you are able to see the attendance link on your screen. Please take a screenshot. I will just confirm that you are able to see or not. So I will be just showing it for 1 minute, guys, and then I will just be like removing it. So please just take a screenshot. It will not stay on the screen for a longer period of time. Okay, I'm just cross-checking it on my laptops. Okay, my charger, where is it? Link on your screen. Please take a screenshot. I'll just confirm that you are able to see or not. So I'll be just showing it. So I hope that you are able to see it very clearly. And yeah, so I've disconnected my laptop to charge as well. So I will just be removing it from the screen. Okay, and now we will be starting with our course. Like we'll be starting with what we were teaching. So yeah, so I'm going to remove it from the screen. Okay. So for those who are not able to take the screenshot, just rewind it a little bit and take a screenshot from there. So let's continue. So we have now we will be checking one more condition when I is equal to like 15. Okay, if I is equal to 15. So we will be again going into the first condition. If I is greater than 1, yes, I is greater than 1, so it will return true. If I is less than 5, so it is false. So true and false is false, so if statement will not get executed. We'll come to the else if portion. If I is greater than equal to 5, yes, 15 is greater than equal to 5. If I is less than equal to 10, yes, sorry, false. So this is false, that 15 is less than, so 15 is greater than 10. So we will also be skipping this particular block of code. Krish, you can put the attendance at the end as well. Once you have the screenshot, you can do it later on as well. So no problem in that. So no problem. Like Krish is a bit frustrated. I understand that programming can be a bit frustrating as well. So I can understand. I can totally relate with that. But it's not him that got placed and me. So there's the difference between us. So yeah, link is not working. Nandini, just send me the link. If it is not working, I'll just cross check it once again. If you're telling that the link is not working, just cross check. See, you can just take the screenshot right now, and later on at the end of the class, you can just check. You can just put on your attendance at the end of the class. Okay, you need not do it right now. As you can see, the link is working. There's no problem with the link. Okay, take the screenshot right now. Okay, and do the thing at the end. Okay, put up your attendance at the end itself. And A Krishna, your name is Aditya Krishna. So, like, I've got that from the Google Docs as well as from YouTube as well. So, I know who you are. So, don't worry about it. Okay, exactly. And also, please refrain from using any type of foul language as well. Um, So, Aditya Krishna, please do not use any type of foul language while we are teaching. Okay, the attendance, just take the screenshot. The link is working. The link is absolutely working. Okay, yeah, we will just like move forward. Okay, so we have seen all the different scenarios. In this, the else block itself will get executed because none of the other two blocks were true, and hence you will get out the output as the number is greater than 10. Okay, when I'm running this particular line of code, you will be able to see then when I is 15, the else portion will get run, the number is greater than 10. So this is how the different if else combination work. Okay, one last combination that you need to know is of nested if else. Okay, for example, you want to check if a particular number is like between 5 and 10, and is also between 4 and 11. Okay, so there are two ranges, 5 to 10 and 4 to 11. So 5 and 10 inherently don't, like, you don't want to take them in. So that is a very bad example. Like, I just need to come up with a better one to make you understand. So there is one more concept of a nested if else statement. So so for example, you have your first condition, like it is less than 30, and you want to print if that particular number is 10, then you want to so okay, let's take up this example, that for example you have a particular number. Okay, you want to check if that particular number is less than 10 or not, is less than 30 or not. Okay, if that number is less than 30, you want to print that that number is less than 30. Also, if in a special case that that number is also equal to 10, then you also want to print that that number is equal to 10. So let's try to code this thing up. So in this case, you want to check if a particular number is less than 30. So if I is less than equal to 30, then you want to print the number is less than 30. Okay, so and in a special condition, if that number I is equal to 10, okay, then you also want to print C out less than the number is 10. Okay, so you want to do both the things. So here you have an if statement inside of another if statement. So the first if statement is checking if that number is less than 30. So yes, 15 is less than 30. So it will go inside the body of the if statement. It will run C out no a number is less than 30. So you will get number is less than 30 being printed out. It will then come to this particular if statement. So if I is equal to 10, so 15 is not equal equal to 10, so it will not execute this particular block of code. It will go out and then return 0. Okay, so if I'm running this particular block of code, you will be easily able to see that you are getting an output as the number is less than 30. That's all and nothing else. So as you can see from here, the number is less than 30. Now moving forward from here, if I'm changing this number I to 10, okay, and then if I'm printing, like if I'm running this particular block of code, you will be able to see that both the if statements are true. So you will get the number is less than 30 as well as the number is 10. So to move the line to the next level, you can just write a backslash n right over here and then print it out. So we'll be able to see that both the lines are getting printed in separate lines. So the number is less than 30 as well as the number is 10. So this is called as nested if else statement, that you have if, then inside of it you have another if else statement or something like that. So you can check multiple conditions using this. Now one of the major like jokes that go around in our AI society is like AI is nothing else but if else statement. So those who want to pursue their career in proper AI, okay, I'm not talking about just deep learning or just machine learning. There's a very small fraction of AI. If you want to pursue your like career in AI, you need to have your data structures and algorithm extremely strong. Almost 70 to 80% of AI is just data structures and algorithms. You have searching, you have sorting, you have many different kinds of like algorithms like min-max algorithms, tree pruning algorithms and all those kinds of stuff. So 70 to 80% of AI is just like algorithms and nothing else. The rest 20% is something that people do, for example deep learning or machine learning or like reinforcement learning as well. So they do all those kind of stuff. Reinforcement learning is also 100% just like data structures and algorithms. Like there are many algorithms that they are using to do that. So that's the case, that most people do not have the foundational knowledge about data structures. They go for an AI engineer position, then they start asking questions about some of the algorithms and then they fail badly. So you need to keep sure that you actually understand what AI is if you want to pursue that in the future. So moving forward from here, so we have completed both the loops as well as the conditional statements. Now we will come to one of the other important aspects that most people ignore while studying if else and loops and all those kinds of stuff. So especially for the loops, so that is also referred to as jump statements. Now jump statements are extremely common, so whatever I'm teaching right now, we will be using it in the next 15 days. That's why I'm teaching these concepts right now, so that if anyone is a beginner and is joining our boot camp, he or she understands that what we are teaching, okay, what in the next 13 days. Okay, so the data structures and algorithms, he or she is able to understand easily. So let's move to jump statements in C++. I love this animation, by the way, my favorite one. So jump statements, there are two types of jump statements in C++. These statements are used in C++ for an unconditional flow of control throughout the functioning of a program. So for example, you are iterating through a particular like set of numbers from 1 to 1 million. Okay, and in the question it has said that in the case if you like reach a particular number, okay, for example if you reach like 150, then you have to do something. For example, you are going from 1 to 1 lakh. Okay, you're going to from I is equals to 1 to 1 lakh, and then it is given in the question that if I is equals to 150, print Avengers Assemble. Okay, so you have given a question that if the I is equals to 3000, okay, let's just, for those Marvel fans out there, 3000. If I is equals to 3000, print Avengers Assemble. Okay, so in that particular case, what you can do is either you can write a particular, of course, you will be writing a particular, like for example, you will be first starting with a for statement. I'll just add a new page right over here. So you will be starting with a particular for statement. So for I is equals to 1, I is less than equal to 1 and to 1 lakh, and then I plus plus. Okay, so you have written the particular for statement right over here. Inside the for statement, you will be having your like conditional statement. So for example, if I is equals to 3000. Okay, so when you have hit 3000, you want to stop executing further. Okay, you don't want to go anywhere else. You just want to stop execute. You want to just print. Okay, just want to do C out less than Avengers assemble, and then you just want to come out of the loop from here itself. Okay, you don't want to go to 3001 and go up till 1 lakh. Okay, you just want to come out from the loop. So that is where break statements come in. So you can just write break after this inside this if statement. So if this statement is getting executed and it reaches break, so it will stop the execution of the for loop, the entire for loop. It will stop the execution of the for loop. You have got Avengers assemble on your output. Okay, std out. You've got Avengers assemble inside your std out. You just come out from your for loop and then start executing the further lines of code. Okay, so this is how you use the break statements. So break statements are used in situations when you're not sure about the actual number of iterations for the loop. You want to terminate a loop based on some conditions. So for example, if this particular state condition was very like very ambiguous. Okay, you didn't knew that it was exactly 3000 that you had to reach. Okay, so in that particular case, you will have a for loop for as long as you can, and when you encounter the condition that you want to get executed, in that particular case, you will be printing out, like you will be having your C out Avengers assemble, break from the loop, and then execute the rest lines of the code. Another way that you can use this particular same thing. Okay, so for example, like you have a particular condition that if a particular condition is reached, okay, uh, then you have to print Avengers assemble. Otherwise, if it reaches to the end, if I becomes 1 lakh and still that condition has not been reached, then in that particular case you want to come out of the loop and you want to say that Avengers go home or something like that. So let's start to implement that. So you take an input from the user. So cin less than some like some variable a. Okay, so some variable a, you take in some variable a. Now you don't know what this variable is. Keep that in mind. You just know that the a should be less than equal to, you just don't know, you just don't know what a is. Okay, what the value of a is. In that particular case, it will be better to use the break statement. So you will write like while, so you have been given that, okay, if like the value of a is greater than 1 lakh, then just don't execute it at all. So I'm just giving a shitty example. Just don't like, just try to understand the concept in general. So while a is less than 1 lakh, okay, so in that particular case, execute this particular block of code. If a is equals to 3000, okay, then you will be executing C out less than Avengers assemble, okay, and then break. And if like a is greater than, so this is something that you can check. Okay, so when you write the condition break and it comes out and you just want to check if it was greater than 1 lakh or it got executed at 3000 itself, so you will just write if a is equals to 3000, okay, or something like that. Then you will be writing not equal to 3000, then you will be writing Avengers go home. So this is a small example. I know this is not a very good example, but I hope that you are able to understand what the use of break is. Whenever you want to break that particular execution of the for loop at a particular instance, at a particular condition, then you use break. You don't want to continue forward. Second example would be for continue. So another example, another thing is continue. Okay, so when do we use continue? So for example, if a is 3000, then ignore it. Okay, you always want to print a particular number out from 1 to 1 lakh except for 3000. So what you will do is you will write here. Okay, so for every number, so while I is equal a is less than 1 lakh, okay, and you will be writing a plus plus, and you will be writing c out less than a. Okay, so for every number you want to print a, but if the number is equal to 3000, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to print 3000 onto the screen, so you will be just writing here continue. So what will continue do is, as soon as it encounters continue, okay, it will go back to the condition and start executing from the next counter. Okay, it just skips this particular counter itself. So this is where continue is being used. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand the use of continue. Let's look at one example for this. Okay, so today's example, let's look at that. We'll be using one example for both the cases. Okay, of course, that will include two codes, two portions of codes. So this is very important, guys. Break and continue will be used in this 15 days boot camp. And of course, if it is being used in this 15 days boot camp, then of course it will be used in competitive coding a lot. So let's take up our example. So like we there's a ready-made code. Okay, just ignore this particular block of code that I'm writing right now. Okay, so we just want to learn what like break and continue is. So just ignore what I'm writing for now. We will be looking at arrays and everything tomorrow. Okay, so yeah. So we have six numbers in our array as of right now. Okay, and then we have int n is equals to like what should I take? 100. No, let's take up something that is so let's take up 1. Okay, so int key is equals to 4. So we want to find 4. Okay, so n is the length of the like array. So the length of the array is 6. As you are able to see, there are 6 elements inside the array, and we want to find the key, like that we want to find key. Okay, so we want to find 4. So we will light a particular for loop for int I is equals to 0, I is less than like n, I is less than n, I plus plus. Okay, we have written a particular for loop to iterate over all the elements that are present in the array. Or else we can, like for example, right now we can just change it to this. I is equal to 1, I is less than 7. Okay, so this is something that we'll be taking in. So for example, int I is equals to 1, I is less than 7, and then I plus plus. So we want to find that particular key in this particular array. So we will write if arri, sorry, if I is equals to like key, then we want to print out c out less than found. Okay, we want to just print out found, and then once we have found that particular key, we don't need to continue with the loop anyway, so we can use break. Okay, so break is extremely important when you are dealing with arrays, because in arrays you don't know. So for example, here you know that once we have crossed 1, okay, I is equals to 1 has been crossed, I will never be equal to 1 again. Okay, but in the case of arrays, it may be possible that you have some index at which I is 1 back again. So there you don't want to return the index of the second element. You want to return the index of the first occurrence of key. So there you will be using break. So this is how you use break in a particular code. You will be able to see idea on it. Okay, so let's add a particular thing as well. We will add, um, we'll just go out and write C out less than I and then space. Okay, so let's try to see, like we have seen that it's found. Okay, but what are the different things that it got executed? We want to know that. So I've just written a particular line of code that tells me which numbers got executed. You'll be able to see that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then found. So we didn't even see 5, 6. Okay, we ignored them because we broke off from the for loop and then we continued with our program. Now let's see another example. For example, if I don't want to print 4 out, okay, in a condition in which I don't want to print 4 out, so in that particular case we will be having if key is equals to I is equals to key, we'll be having continue, we'll be removing this. Okay, and then we'll be having else. So this is what we will be doing right now. So we have int key is equals to 4, int I is equals to 1, I is less than 7, I plus plus. If key is equals to I is equals to key, then we want to, like, we just want to ignore, we don't want to print I out. Okay, we want to ignore it, but we want to continue running the loop. So if I'm like printing it out, you'll be able to see that we'll be printing from 1 to 6, but we'll be ignoring 4. 4 will not get. Okay, so what happened? Um, my code didn't got executed. What's the case? I'm just ready on it again. Okay, as you are able to see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. You're able to see that 4 didn't got printed out. Why this happened was that we wrote continue right over here, so it didn't continue running the entire code. So if I can even remove this else portion and then it will also run in a similar way. Okay, you don't even need the else portion. Okay, so because when it encounters continue, it stops, it does not run this particular body of code. It goes back to the start and then like continues from where it had stopped. So you are able to see that we get the same output 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So this is how break and continue are being used. I hope that you are able to understand. The attendance link is working. I have cross checked it. Okay, so yeah. So this was what we did today. Okay. So like anything else, this is all that we will be doing right now. So I have just seen something very funny. So the number of people went down from 400 to 320 just after showing the attendance link. So that's also something that's a little bit funny according to me. See, these initial concepts, for example, for loops, if else statements, are very basic in nature. Okay, so that's why I'm having these particular questions just for the starting purposes. Once we have reached for tomorrow, we'll be covering arrays and vectors. Okay, so in 45 minutes, we'll be covering arrays and vectors, and from tomorrow, we'll be start to code in lead code itself. Okay, so from tomorrow we'll be coding in lead code. So that is something that I think that is the pinnacle for computer programming for your interviews. So yeah. Okay, so I think so that's enough for the questions right now. Tomorrow we'll be starting with arrays and vectors. So for those who are not familiar, we'll be using std for vectors as well, the standard template library. Okay, so yeah. So for today also we don't have any homework. I just suggest that you should research about one more like if else, like the conditional operators called as switch. Okay. So for today your homework is to research about switch statements. Okay. Please go and research about switch statements, go and research more about how to use, where to use break and continue statements as well. So today's homework is this: you have to research about three things. Okay, break and continue statements as well as switch statements. So switch statements is another version for if else statements, so it's another conditional statements. Please research about switch statements. We will not be using switch statements in these 15 days, but that is something that you may encounter while programming in the future. So please go and search about it, take it as your homework, and that's all. Yeah, so that's all for today. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. It was amazing to have you all join with me today, and yeah, we will move from here to tomorrow. Okay. Good day, everyone. The homework has been said. The homework is to look at three concepts. Okay. The first concept is switch statements. The second concept is break and continue. Okay. Break and continue. I've already taught to you about that, but try to research a little bit more about that. Also, look at switch statements. Switch statements is very important. So let's move on from here. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. And please take down notes. These are topics that are very important. So thank you everyone to be here and have a wonderful night ahead.